30 years old, I completely changed my life and my career. I went from being a nurse to a UX designer. I have been rejected hundreds and hundreds of times, but I figured out how to leverage my background and actually make it a strength. All of a sudden it becomes my most unique identifier in the marketplace. This is the answer that you give to people when they ask you, so tell me about yourself. Now, job searching and interviewing is such a skill set in its own right, and this is particularly true in UX. I'm going to give you the exact steps that you need to change careers into UX design to help you build the life of your dreams. Good morning and welcome back if this is you returning, and if this is your first time, then welcome. It's so good to have you here. My name's Anna. I'm a UX designer and I live in New York City. So today I'm going to be talking about how I basically changed my life by changing my career at 30 and went from nursing to UX design. So without further ado, let's get into it. At 30 years old, I completely changed my life and my career. I went from being a nurse to a UX designer, and if I can do that, anybody can. Nursing is about as far a career away from tech and design as anything, but I figured out how to leverage my background and actually make it a strength. I have so much more flexibility in my life and in my work, and I'm getting paid to do something that I truly love. So in this video, I'm not just going to tell you my story. I'm going to give you the exact steps that you need to change careers, even if you are a little bit older like I was, into UX design to help you build the life of your dreams. So, life before UX. I did my degree and I worked as a nurse, and while I loved the meaningful parts of my work, two things pushed me to change: a desire to travel and a deep urge to create something meaningful in tech. So I knew that healthcare experience would be valuable in health technology. So what I did is I looked for companies that I would love to work for, and I looked for entry roles within these companies. And I actually landed my first job in health tech in customer success, of all places. And from there, I was actually able to leverage that experience into a product manager role where I had a hand in directly building out and delivering products. And so here's my first part of advice. If you are struggling to find a role in either product design or product management straight away, look for just any entry role in a company that you would love to work for. I promise once you're in, there are always going to be opportunities for you to grow and move internally once you're there. So while your first job may not be your dream job, just remember, building your dream career and your dream life is a marathon, not a sprint. Now that my foot was well and truly in the door of health tech, I realized that if I really wanted to make a career in UX design, I would have to invest back into my education and acquire the skills that's required to be a UX designer. And so there are many ways to do that, and that is a whole nother video. But what I chose was the 12-week intensive bootcamp with General Assembly. So this is 480 hours condensed into 3 months. It's basically like doing a degree on fast forward. It was intense, but it also gave me the foundational skills that I needed to be a successful designer. It gave me the skills of research, UI design, building out a portfolio, being able to work on real world projects that I could actually show to future employees. So in my mind, it was invaluable. Okay, so let's speed this story up a little bit. I finished my intense bootcamp and was lucky enough to land my first proper UX job directly after that. And that was 4 years ago. And since then, I've been lucky enough to move to New York City and work in some truly wonderful roles here. I now want to give you the skills that you need to be able to do that yourself. And that all starts with interviewing. Now, job searching and interviewing is such a skill set in its own right. And this is particularly true in UX, where you're usually expected to do anywhere from 4 to 7 interviews. In those interviews, they may ask you to do a whiteboarding session, present a case study, do a design challenge, do an IQ test, do a personality test, do a panel interview. It is intense, let me tell you, but it happens to be the status quo in UX. So if you want to get a job in this industry, you have to be prepared to do that. I'm going to give you the top most important tips that will guarantee you success in the process and land you that job that you're after. So my first tip in applying and successfully getting a job in UX design is to only apply for jobs that are aligned with your background and passion. So for me, this was, of course, I come from healthcare. I really only apply for jobs in health technology, not only because I'm genuinely passionate about the industry, but it allows my background to be my biggest strength as opposed to a detractor. What might sound a little bit strange, the combination of UX design and nursing, all of a sudden becomes my most unique identifier in the marketplace and makes me invaluable for those roles that are directly tied to the patient, nursing, and healthcare user experience. And because I'm so passionate about this industry, once I actually get into the interview, that comes across. So tip number 2, prepared to be rejected more than you thought was humanly possible. I have been rejected hundreds and hundreds of times, but remember this, it only takes one yes for you to land that dream role. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm the type of person that when I get rejected, even if I haven't even interviewed for the role, it hurts so much. But the thing is that I don't let it deter me. I realize that if I want something, I have to work hard at it. I'm gonna get a couple of bumps and bruises along the way. However, in saying that, one of the things that I really felt helped me was to make sure that I wrote personal cover letters. If you have been searching for a role and something comes up that's totally aligned to your background, you do not want your cover letter to basically read like another version of your CV. People love hearing from people who are truly passionate about what they do because they know it means that they're going to be absolutely committed once they get into that role. And one better, if you have found that perfect role and you have taken the time to research the company and write that perfect cover letter, do one better and do some research and find out who the actual hiring manager will be, who you will be working for personally if you were to get that role. LinkedIn is obviously wonderful for this, and send that cover letter to them personally by name. What this will do, if you can get this letter to them and you can express to them how much you would love to work for them, you're going to bypass the HR department who probably don't know who you are and don't really care who you are, or these days, more likely, you're going to be bypassing the AI algorithm that is probably just looking for universities, and you'll skip all of that and you'll be able to present yourself to the person who really counts. So the next tip is have a personal elevator pitch. This is your hero's journey. It's connecting all the dots in your path that have led you to where you are today. This is the answer that you give to people when they ask you, so tell me about yourself. Now, because for me, nursing and UX design are about as far as Australia and New York are from each other, this was really, really important for me and something that I really needed to work on to ensure that my journey and my story made sense to people who don't know me. So how I worked on this, when my husband and I were going on afternoon walks with our dog, I would repeat it over and over and over again until I felt so comfortable telling anyone out loud in the park with strangers around my journey in 1 minute flat. Okay, so you're applying for roles and you've got your elevator pitch. We need to quickly talk about your portfolio. So the design portfolio is something that's quite specific to looking for jobs in UX design. But basically what it is it's a representation of the projects that you've done in the past, particularly highlighting your success and your process for those projects. Every single job that I've applied for has asked for one. It's just very standard practice in UX design. And so whilst it obviously is a little bit of extra work and can be a little bit frustrating, it is unfortunately the status quo. So my only advice here is just don't overthink it too much. I think because we're in design and we're designing something that's meant to be personal to ourselves, it can feel very, I don't know, like it needs to be perfect, it needs to exactly reflect your personality, but it doesn't. Don't overthink it. Set yourself some time, like literally like a couple of hours, time box yourself, design however you want to do it, whether it wants to be a Figma file, whether you actually want to make it a website, whatever it is, don't overthink the aesthetics of it, and then just really focus on getting some key pieces of work in there that you can show prospective employees. And so the most important part of a case study is A, showing the UX design process that you can lead or be part of a project from end to end. And then secondly, what was the outcome of that project? How did it actually change the needle? Were you able to improve the customer experience? Were you able to increase revenue for that particular business unit? Whatever it is, make sure you focus on that, because that's what hiring managers are going to want to see. So now, you've done everything. You've got a portfolio, you've got your elevator pitch, you've applied for jobs, and you've been asked to interview at your dream job. My one piece of advice is do not wing it. You should be more prepared for this interview than you ever have been for anything in your entire life. And I am not joking here. What I mean when I say this is that You want to be so comfortable answering any type of question about yourself, about the work that you've done. You should be so comfortable presenting a case study from your background that particularly aligns with the role that you're applying for. You should be able to say it in your sleep, present it in your sleep, present it backwards. You don't want to have to be thinking about, am I going to be good at presenting this, when you just want to be connecting with the people that interview you. Because at the end of the day, if you've made it to the interview, they're no longer looking to hire a resume. They're wanting to hire a person, and connection is so important in this process because they're envisioning working with you for hopefully multiple years. So go over it in front of friends, go over it with your partner, go over it with yourself in the mirror, film yourself doing it. Answer all of the questions that you can Google or get ChatGPT to ask you about the role, about the industry, about the company. I promise to you, if you do all of this, your chances of being hired are going to be phenomenal. And that's it. You've landed your dream job. Yay, the journey's over. Just kidding. The journey has actually just begun. I hope that you can take these tips and use them to transform your life. It doesn't matter how old you are, whether you're 25, 35, 45, 55, you're able to change careers, change your life, change your job, do whatever you want. I know that you can. And so I hope that you can use these skills to help you build the life of your dreams. And that's the end. Thank you so much for spending this video with me. I've loved sharing my tips and tricks with you. And if you do have any ideas for any other videos that you would like me to make on UX design, if there's anything that you're particularly curious about, please let me know in the comments below. This is a new hobby for me, but I absolutely love making these videos and connecting with you. And if you'd like to subscribe and support my channel, I'd love that too. Either way, I will see you in the next one. Bye.